Okay. We said according to Beis Shammai, who is of the opinion that shlichus yad, that a person who is a shomer, a custodian, just by having in mind to benefit from the object that he's responsible to watch, he already has the liability of a thief. Therefore, if anything should happen to the item, he has full liability. So we only have one source for Shlich Dvar Aveira. Gemara says we have Gneva Aveda. That if a person steals a sheep or an ox and he has it slaughtered, even through an agent, he has full liability. We say Shlich Dvar Aveira. Somebody asked the question, so the question is according to Beis Shammai. According to Beis Hillel, we have three psukim, right? We have Mi'ilah, we have Shlichus Yad, and we have Tvicha Mechira. What? No, nobody argues this. Nobody argues. So according to Beis Hillel, we have three psukim, but according to Beis Shammai, we only have two. We have two sources. We have Mi'ilah, and we have Dalet Veg. Somebody says, according to Beis Shammai, it's very good, according to the opinion that two psukim are sufficient. If the Torah repeats itself once, that's an indication that it's the exception to the rule. But according to the opinion that two is not an indication that it's an exception to the rule, you need three, so we need a third source. Once everybody agrees, you draw from that. That's a rule. Twice is an argument, right? But three, everybody agrees. It's an indication. Everybody agrees. Three, you don't. Ein melamdin. That's clearly, it's an exception. These are exceptions to the rule. El madiyam melamdin Michael Meimar. On that, Gemara says, Goli rachman b'shchutei chutz. The Torah tells us that a person consecrates an animal as a korban, and you slaughter it outside of the Beis Hamikdash, outside of the Mishkan, the person has liability of koris. What happens? He consecrates it, and then he designates an agent, that the agent should do the shechita on his behalf. Is the one who commissioned the agent to slaughter it outside of the Mishkan, Beis Hamikdash, is he liable for shchutei chutz or not? Goli rachman shchutei chutz. What does the Torah say? Dam yichoshev lo ishahu. It says it's considered blood for the one who slaughters the korban outside the Beis Hamikdash. Dam shafoch. It's considered as if he shedded blood. As if he shedded blood. Oh, it's interesting. So the Meforshim, the Siporno says over there, before the Mabul, a person wasn't permitted to kill an animal. Killing an animal is no different than killing a human being. That's what it was. Only after the Mabul, after the Great Flood, it was one permitted to eat meat. Then you were permitted to kill the animal for meat. What about if something's consecrated? Torah says, Dam yichoshiv leishahu dam shafoch. It's considered like he shed blood. He's a murderer. Meaning it's similar to what took place before the Mabul. Meaning, why are you permitted to kill an animal? Because it's post-Mabul. But what kind of animal does the Torah permit you to kill? An animal that's not consecrated. But the animal is no. What about you kill a pig? You can't eat the pig, right? But it's because it's consecrated. But if it's from God's domain, where it can only be slaughtered within a very specific context, Torah says that's dam shofach. Not killing it as prescribed, it's dam shofach. Dam yichosh lishu dam shofach. That, therefore, what's the liability? Koris. The liability is koris. Why not? He says, why not like kill? Okay, there's a difference. Okay, it's still not a human being. So what does it say? It says, Dam yichosh lish hahu. What is hahu? To that person. Hu v'lo shlucho. So who is what? It's an exclusion. He is liable, but if he commissions it through an agent, although the agent is acting on behalf of the one who sent him, his action is not attributed to the sender. Right? Correct. Doesn't make a difference. So where it says Ashkan Gabi Shchutei Chutz. Okay, so we have the Torah says based on this exclusion that by Shchutei Chutz clearly we say Ein Shlich Dvar Aveira. Ein Shlich Dvar Aveira. Okay. But still, we have two. If we hold Shnei Ksum Bon Ke'echad Melamdim, when the Torah repeats itself, that's not an indication, it's an exclusion. So I have two locations where the Torah says Yesh Lich Dvar Aveira, right? I have Mi'ilo, and I have Dal Vehei, right? Ein Shlich Dvar Aveira, Ein Shlich Dvar Aveira. Wait a second, but the two psukim on the other side of the equation also. So the Gemara is going to ask, what do you favor this over the others? Why is this the rule and the others are the exception? Maybe the others are the rule. This is the exception. That's the Gemara's next question. That's the Gemara's question. The Gemara says, so Ashkan Gabi Shchutei Chutz. So we find by Shchutei Chutz, slaughtering the korban outside the Beis Hamikdash, if you do it through an agent, action of the agent is not who sent him. How do we know throughout the Torah we say Shlich Dvar Aveiro? The answer is the Yolch B'Shchutei Chutz. Because I learned from Shchutei Chutz. Just as Shchutei Chutz, Torah says the law of agency is not applicable. The same thing is true regarding any Dvar Aveiro. We don't apply the principle of Shlichus. Someone asks, Ad Yolch B'Shchutei Chutz. Why Shchutei Chutz the rule? And from there I draw Ein Shlich Dvar Aveiro Nelech Mehanoch. Right? Let's learn from the others. Let's learn from Me'ilo and from Daled Vehei that Yesh Lich Dvar Aveiro. Correct? On that, the more answers, Ahu Hoder Kosev Rachmona V'Nichras Ho Ishahu. The Torah goes and reiterates it. It says that individual shall be cut off. So what is again the second Ahu? So I don't need it to say that in the context of Shutei Chutz, you cannot delegate it through an agent. That I know from the first Ahu. Correct? So what do I need the second Ahu? What do I need the second exclusion? It's him and no one else. I mean, when you look gufo, if it's not needed for itself, to tell me that you should not learn throughout the Torah from the other locations that we say Yesh Lich Dvar Aveira. This is like explicitly the Torah saying, under no circumstance you say elsewhere Yesh Lich Dvar Aveira. No. What does the Torah says? It says as here hahu, only the individual. Nowhere do we say Yeshli. The Torah is saying nowhere do, if the Torah would write explicitly, nowhere do we say throughout the Torah Yeshli Dvar Aveira. If the Torah would say that explicitly, right? Even though we say Shnei Ksum Bo Mokeachon Melamdin, that clearly tells me the Torah is saying though. But you listen, what about these two cases? Those are the exceptions, because it's the equivalent Torah saying explicitly. Nowhere do we say Yeshli Dvar Aveira. That's the second Ahu. Correct? So therefore the others become the exception. Now there would go the other way. When the Gemara said before, let's learn from Kochim, Gemara says because the majority of its actions are through a shliach. Not because it was Hegdish. Because we see that the majority of the service is done through an intermediary. Therefore, it's no proof. Not because it's Hegdish.
Well, I mean,
yeah, but there's a different concept. Here we're saying just the opposite. We're saying that you cannot delegate it. Because it's a Dvar Aveira. That's what Torah is saying. Because it's an infraction, something which is contrary to Torah, that cannot be delegated through an agent. Right, because then that's a rule. No, because but why do I favor A over B? Right. I have A, then I have B and C. So what does the Eino Inyan tell me? It's the equivalent Torah saying, nowhere do you say Yesh Lich Dvar Aveira. That's what Torah is saying. Nowhere do you say it, unless you find the exception. No, the other two are the exceptions. If the Torah says, nowhere you find unless you find an exception. So where do you find the exception? Milo and Dalvei, those are the two exceptions. Right? Einian says, here, just as here, right, we're saying, Nidichras ho'ishahu. Why? So I don't need it for itself. I already know Yesh Lich Dvar Aveira. So what am I applying it? That it's as if Torah says, throughout the Torah, do not say Yesh Lich Dvar Aveira. That's what Torah is saying. same idea. But it's saying, because it's superfluous over there. That second ahu, what do I need it for? We already, right? We already have the first ahu telling me. It's a way to interpret the Torah. Correct. Okay, not going to get into that. Samar now asks, so now, if Shnei Ksum Bon Kechad would be sufficient to tell me, Ein Shlich Dvar Aveira, unless the Torah tells me yes, correct? According to the opinion, if the Torah says it twice, Yesh Shlich Dvar Aveira, what does that tell me? It's an exception. So if that's what I need, the two ahus by Shchutei Chutz, right? We have ahu written twice by Shchutei Chutz, right? The first one to tell me he and not his agent, and the second is definitely superfluous. So we made it as an Eino Inyan. But if you say two psukim, already confirmed that it's the exception, so I already have two psukim, so what do I need the two ahus for? Right? They're totally superfluous. What? Well, they melamdin. Right? So what are the two ahus are superfluous? So the question on both ahus, where it says v'nichras ish ahu, and then we have dam yichoshiv lish ahu, it's considered as if he shed blood. We don't need the exclusion, not the agent, because I already know he can't delegate it through. The agent's action is not attributed to him. Right? So I have two ahus which are superfluous. You following? Frame. Okay. It said by Shchutei Chutz the two ahus. It says, the first one, it says, Dam Yichosh Li Shahu. Right? That's the first. No, we don't need either. If I have Shnei Ksum Bon Kech Ein Melamdin, is it even a consideration by Shchutei Chutz that I'm going to say Yishli Dvar Aveira? It's not even a consideration. So what do I do? It should say Dam Yichoshev Lo Ish. It's considered as if he shed blood. Now who comes to exclude his agent? I know the agent it can't be. Because I already have the principle Ein Shlich Dvar Aveira. Because the two locations I find, yes, are the exceptions. Right? We say the principle of Shlichus doesn't apply anywhere other than where the Torah says it. Okay? So it says Chad Lemutei Shneim Sheochzin B'Sakin B'Shochtin. What's the halacha? You have a non-consecrated animal, two people hold on to the knife, and they do it properly. It's valid. By Kochim, it's not valid. It's not a valid shechita. Only a single individual does the shechita, not two people. It's not a valid shechita. Shneim Sheochzin B'Sakin B'Shochtin. That's first. V'charhu hu v'lo onus, hu v'lo shogeg, hu v'lo muter. Right? When is he liable? Not if he's an onus, not if he's a shogeg, not if he's a muter. So, muter means he didn't know the halacha. Didn't know the halacha. Okay, it's just an expression. But again, there's a question which is asked. I mean, what's even the consideration? And what do I need something here to tell me that not if he's an onus? It's understood. We say onus rachmana patre, right? No, we say this is the equivalent of murder. It was, so therefore, I'd say maybe over here there is liability. That's what they say. Since over here the seriousness of Shchutei Chutz is more serious than just doing the wrong. You're transgressing the Torah. It's the equivalent of taking a life. So I'd say maybe even onus. There's liability. No, there's no liability. Person's told either you slaughter the animal outside the Beis Hamikdash or it's your life. Right? There's a mitzvah kiddush Hashem. It's chil Hashem. You're not permitted. Maybe it's the Yehoreg Val Yavor. Maybe it's Yehoreg Val Yavor. You know, it's interesting. Never learned it because never learned Ksubis here. There's more in Ksubis. David, there's an interesting question. The Gemara says like this: if you have a document which has witnesses on it, so the halacha is before you could collect with a document, the signatures have to be substantiated before the document becomes a viable document. Okay? So what is them? Two witnesses come and they testify. These are our signatures. And then the court, they certify that this has been a substantiated document. Now the document is a credible document. You collect with the document. That's the halacha. It's called the shtar mukuyam. So the Mishnah speaks about a case, two witnesses come and they say, Ksav Yodeinu Zeh. It's our signature. Aval anusim hoyinu, but we were forced to sign. They tell the court, it's an authentic document, but the person forced us to sign it. So, Gemara says like this. If it's anusim machmas momon, if they say, you know something, the offer to sign was too great to turn down. Offered us the fortune. So they're not believed. Because they know the about Russia. That means they admit they signed falsely because they were paid. They were paid to be false witnesses. Right? So of course they're puzzled. They're saying we're showing. Signing a document which is not a credible document, it's like offering false testimony in court. That's what it is. It's the equivalent of that. So that's more. Russia. What about if they say Anusa Machmas the Foshos? Anusa Machmas the Foshos, the man put a gun to us and he says, look, you don't sign, it's going to cost you your lives. We have no choice but to sign. Then they're believed. They're believed. It's not any person's not obligated to give his life. So more, it's a question, why not? Maybe they should be. They should be. Right? So there's a famous, there's a Shita Mukabetzis over there. He cites an interpretation. We say, "B'chai bem shlo yomos behem." It says you should live by my Torah, not die by my Torah. Is a person permitted to steal, to fulfill mitzvahs, or even to survive? It's not simple. Let's say you're going to steal and you're not going to be able to reimburse the person you're stealing from. You're not going to pay him. You don't plan to pay the man back. The halacha is it's a machlok rishonim. Some say you're not permitted. You're not permitted. It's based on the Gemara Bava Kama. The Gemara Bava Kama. Wait a second. Gemara says Bava Kama. David was pursuing the Philistines, and the Philistines were hiding in wheat fields that belonged to Jews. So what do you have to do? He had to torch the fields to flush them out. So Gemara says, how does he have a right to destroy somebody else's property, even though the enemy's there, right? This is before he was a king. This is before, if he's a king, there's no question. A king, king has a right. So the Gemara answers something. So the question is, what's the Gemara's answer? So some say the Gemara's answer is because although he destroyed it, but since he had in mind to compensate the owner of the field for the damage, there's no problem with it. Others say no, it's a question of pikuach nefesh. You have a right to destroy the field. It's a question of life-threatening. You know, it's either them or us. You have a right. So according to the opinion that unless you have in mind to compensate the victim, you have no right to take somebody else's property. So it's a question of what? It's the Horik Vel Yavor. You have no right. So over here, when they were given the ultimatum, either you sign or you're going to be killed. So they signed. So therefore, it should be signing is the equivalent of what? Of stealing, offering false testimony in the context of a legal document where somebody is going to use this document to collect, right? Maybe you should give your life. So what's the Gemara's answer? Even according to that opinion, you're an accomplice. You're creating the vehicle to collect. You're not doing the actual stealing. This is what we call bizrai darayos, bizrai the gzela. The Gemara, no, there's a bizrayo. The Gemara, we had the Gemara in Avodah Zorah, something which has a semblance of the actual sin itself. We had a case where you had cherubs which spouted water. The person is dying of thirst. And he wants to put his mouth to the cherub which spouts the water. It was a fountain. They used to worship the cherub. It's more in Avodah Zorah. So it says he's not permitted to put his mouth to drink water. Why? Because it appears as if because that's the way they would worship the idol. They would kiss the idol on its mouth, even though he's putting his mouth to the mouth of the cherub, because that's the way he's drinking the water. That's called Bizrayat Avodah Zorah. Because it has a semblance. People could think that he's doing the idolatry. It's actually, there's such a perception. For that itself, he has no right to drink the water. It's called Bizraya. Even if he's dying, Gemara says. No, there's no alternative. The only way he could drink that water, he has to die of thirst, Gemara says. Gemara Avodah Zorah, first parak. Okay? So, of doing Avodah Zorah. Right. Okay, there's Netziv, Marasayan. Is it Marasayan or is it more than a Marasayan? Because factually he's doing the act appears as if he's doing an act of worshiping, although he's not worshiping.
That's how they worship.
No, they don't know. They worship is they kiss it. He's drinking water, but the drinking looks as if he's kissing the idol. But I'm not getting to the Gemara and Avodah Zarah. So over here, signing the document, it has relevance to stealing. Because without this, it's more than a grumma. The question is, why is it different than offering the gun for the murderer to commit murder? Right? You're giving him the vehicle, the instrument, to do the crime. Right? So here it's more because the document itself immediately creates the lien. When you sign on the document, there's a lien on the person already. So it's more than just grumma. Grumma is causality, something. Here it's directly, you created that. So therefore, maybe you should have to give your life. Gemara says, no, you don't have to give your life for that. No, but I'm explaining to you. We're going according to the opinion that if you're not going to compensate the person, everybody agrees. If you're not compensating, you have no right to steal. You have no right to steal to save your life. What? When a person signed on that document, he never intended to sign. He signed falsely because he was paid. No. It does make a difference. We have the option. That's an obligation of, you have an obligation to reimburse the person of restitution. You want to learn the Gemara Bava Kama? We'll get in the Baf Yomi. We'll discuss it. There's a consideration. The Gemara comes out that he has no obligation to give his life. He has none. The Gemara asked, the Gemara said, maybe even that. Otherwise, right? So Gemara says, no, he definitely does not have his life. He can sign. He's obligated to sign. Not to forfeit his life. Not to forfeit his life. But the question is, initially, what was the consideration? There was a consideration. So this is the way they explained this was the consideration, why maybe he should have to give his life. Okay, so I'm saying over here, even if you're forced to slaughter the animal, which is consecrated outside of the Beis HaMikdash, if it's considered the equivalent of murder, what we always say, you have no right to commit murder, right? Even if it's the cost of your own life. The Torah says no. Hu v'lo onus. That even though in regard to certain, if you do it deliberately, it has a semblance of murder, where you're forced, you're compelled to do it, it has no relevance to that. Okay? That's the who. That's one. Hu v'lo onus. We have two ahus. The first ahu tells me that if two people slaughter, it's nothing. It's not about. What about you take an animal that's consecrated and you shoot it? You shoot it. Is that shchutei chutz? Has to be shchutei chutz. Has to be slaughtered. That if you would have done this in the Beis HaMikdash, it would have been a valid shchita. So you destroyed a hekdesh animal. For that, the Torah doesn't hold you liable. And that's only if you do it through shchita. Only if you do it through shchita. If you don't do it through shchita, it's not equivalent. You have to be white. That's what the Torah says. In this context, yes. Any other context, not.
We're saying that the person, the victim of this, is not liable for his act.
Not the victim. You mean the one who's being victimized, who's forced to do the act.
That's the victim in this tomb. He's not liable for his
No liability whatsoever, except for murder.
Except for murder.
Or idolatry.
He has to give his own life.
And if he doesn't give his life, what's the level of liability? Not murder. Not murder.
What is it?
It's chil Hashem.
Chilul Hashem. That's
So even if he's forewarned, he's not put to death. No. Right, exactly.
Is he an agent? Do you consider him an agent and the one who's doing the forcing?
No, that's the Gemara coming up. The Gemara coming up.
What is that relationship?
No, that's ein shlich devar avera. Ein shlich devar avera, you cannot be an agent in this context. The law of agents doesn't apply where you're...
Even if a person is compelled?
No, it's not. But the one who forced him, he's going to be liable in Shemayim. That's what the Gemara is going to say.
But not
in court, the court cannot convict him. Cannot convict him at all. He has no liability in court.
He forces him to torture Theo.
Right, correct? Or to commit murder. To commit murder.
Well, commit murder.
What's the difference torturing a field committing murder? Both are ein shlich devar avera. Right. Which one?
In both cases.
What I mean, the one who tortures the field is liable. He's the damager.
No, at the field of his life.
He's still, if actually you did it,
So he is liable.
sure he's liable. He has financial liability.
Not the one who
Right, right.
Even though he had no choice.
It doesn't make a difference. Doesn't make a difference.
He brought the court.
He's the damager. He's the damager.
Even though he
Where do you have a right to destroy my field? Good. Factually, there's no liability in terms of the violation of damaging somebody's property. But you have to reimburse me. What about a person starving to death and he eats my food? Well, I had no choice. But factually, you ate my food. You have to reimburse me. You didn't know Aveira. It's not a transgression, but you have to reimburse me. There's restitution. Okay, because it was your own initiative. Correct, correct.
Where somebody is forcing the issue, we're still saying that the one who is forced is liable.
Correct.
And not the one who does the forcing.
Onus Rahmana Patre only is in regard to prohibitions, transgressions. Factually, as a damager, Torah says a damager has to pay. You are a damager. But if you say Inshlev Dvar Aveiro, right, there's only one damager. If we divorce the damager from the one who compels the person who the damage, they're separated.
How do we know that we can divorce it in that context?
Because we say Inshlev Dvar Aveiro.
No, but how do we know that it goes that far?
If his action is not attributed to me, that's what the Torah is saying. Right?
I'm saying that if somebody is compelled under threat of life,
I'm explaining to you.
how do
So
we-
we,
why
because
would
that's
we-
it's still Aveira. It's because they ain't lived Aveira. Without the laws of agency, why would the action of the agent? Let's say we would have never introduced agency. Period. Anywhere. Why is the action of the agent attributed to the one who sends him? Why is it attributed to him? Why should he even feel like it's grumma? At worst, it's grumma, right? It's causality. It's causality. For causality, you're not held liable in court for causality. So the Torah has to introduce the concept of shlichus. That takes it from causality to cause that the action of the agent is attributed to the sender.
I would have thought that I could make an argument as far as just a logical argument.
Yeah.
I would say God gave people freedom of choice.
Okay.
And when they exercise their freedom of choice, they are alive. That's a principle that we've seen.
Okay.
Through the mitzvahs and
Okay.
everything else. Okay. Now, this person's freedom of choice was taken away by another person.
Okay.
And that person exercised his freedom of choice to make something happen.
Okay.
By subtracting the freedom of choice from another person, I would say that that person is liable for the act.
But what could it be more than grumma? Could it be more than causality? Is it more than causality? That's my question to you.
I would say, why is he different from him using his own hand to do that?
Because it's not your hand.
But I understand.
That's causality. What's grumma? That's grumma.
Once you threaten a man's life,
That's
maybe that is not drama anymore.
okay.
I would try to make that argument.
The Gemara has a question. The Gemara has a question. Wait. No. The arrow, your power is in the arrow. The arrow and you are synonymous. The Gemara in Makos, we had a Gemara in Makos. We had a Gemara in Makos discuss the case. You throw something, and let's say you have a cluster of grapes, of olives, which is very heavy. You throw it, you knock it down, it falls. It kills a person. You're liable. Of course, directly, you knocking it off the tree caused. What about it ricochets? You hit the branch, then it hits something else, then it knocks the cluster off. So it's called koach de kocho. It's not directly a power, but this man is, he's been in the billiards, playing billiards for all his life. It's a definite, he ricochets and it's going to knock it, it's going to hit the man on the head. Mara's a question. Of course, it's not kocho. That's not called directly his power. Even though the man's definitely, it hits him, he's going to die. Doesn't make a difference. What? Of course, it's like you knocked it directly down. Okay, you learn Makos. You ever learn Makos? Okay, so we'll get back to it. It's more in second parak. Right? No, the Gemara has a question. We rule it's not. It's not. Right. Right. No, because it had to ricochet off something else. the power is there, but it's not directly his own power. There were other elements that were also contributing to ultimately, because it had to ricochet to be able to hit the man. It wasn't direct. It's not direct enough. It's too indirect. But he definitely killed the man. There's no question he killed him. Okay? So there must have been idoch. So we need the two ahus for these two exclusions. Two people slaughtered with one knife by kochim, and the other is where he's compelled, so he has no liability. V'idoch mehu ahu. So the one who needs this for the exclusion, he learns it. Could have said who, what's hahu? The hey comes to exclude these cases. In both. V'idoch hu ahu lo dorish. The one whose opinion shnei ksum bon ke'echad ein melamdin. Who and who is the same thing. The extra hey we don't see as being superfluous. Okay? So now the Gemara asks a question. Vo detani, we learned home l'shluchut tzei haroges hanefesh hu chayev sholchav poter. Hear this? Somebody commissions a person to commit murder. Hu chayev sholchav poter. The sender is liable, and the agent is poter. So we over here. We have a case of shlich devar aveira, and this is not one of the psukim, which are the exception. Shamay azokin omer mishum chagai hanovi. Hu chayiv v'sholcha chayiv, right? The murderer is liable, and the sender is exempt. But Shamay azokin omer mishum chagai hanovi. Shamay says the name of chagai hanovi. Sholcha chayiv. The agent is chayiv. Shenemar. Also, harakta b'cherev b'nei Ammon. This is speaking regarding David. David sent Uri Achiti to the battlefront to be killed. So, the Navi says to him, you killed the victim and you used the sword of B'nai Ammon. My time it is Shammai. If we have all these other psukim which indicate, ain't shlich devar aveira. So why over here is it considered like David actually killed Uri Achiti? My time it is Shammai hazokein. He is of the opinion that having two psukim alone are not an indication of the exception to the rule. But what do we have? The other psukim. V'hu ahu lo dorish. And the who's, he doesn't, how does he do it? I don't know. He doesn't interpret it to be exclusions. They're not exclusions. So if you hold shnei ksum bon ke'echod melamdin, and the who's are not exclusions, so therefore I draw from there, yesh lich dvar aveira. From there we see yesh lich dvar aveira. Right, right. Right now we're holding, he holds yesh lich dvar aveira. First of all, this is in Navi. This is not in the Torah. See, it would not. No. Which means what he said in Navi is an indication that what the Torah is saying, that even in the context of Veir, we say yesh lich dvar aveira. That's how he's interpreting the Torah. Because we interpret the Torah to that, therefore the Navi says to David, it's considered as if you committed murder. No. What difference does it make?
Because every time a king goes to war and someone's killed, the king is liable for murder.
No. War is war. There's not war. There's an innocent man. Did he deserve to die? Okay. No. Okay, now we're getting the dam is your power. Using nature, that's your power. You throw something into the wind, and because of the force of the wind, it had sufficient impact to kill a person. No. He was killed by an enemy fire. Okay.
If he didn't give that command directly, Rabbi wasn't the general himself, saying to Uri, you go on the front line. So there's even a further separation there.
Okay, but if he's killed by enemy fire and the enemy are non-Jews, we say Yeshlichus Lakum, right? Even if you say Yeshlich Dvar Aveira, but here it's Yeshlich, there's no Shlich for a non-Jew, right? We will continue tomorrow.